about who some of my, I guess, heroes, I guess, in a way, or like who I would consider sort of pillars of the way I think about making projects and making stories. And in particular, I want to call out three very different, maybe four, three and a half, very different producers who I think about a lot when I think about the way I want to do work. So the first one is Brian Grazer. That's why my hair is like this and I'm wearing a mustache. No, I'm just kidding. But Brian Grazer wrote a book called Curious Mind, I think that's what it's called. And he's got this idea of really building one's curiosity. And I think that's like an incredible skill for a producer to have, and it's what I think about a lot. I think about it not only in the way I engage with the work, so when I am talking to creatives or when I'm talking with executives, depending on whether I'm starting from top down or from bottom up, I want to be able to ask a lot of questions. I want to be able to ask simple questions, complicated questions, questions about story, little, big character questions, little questions about little details. For me, that is the best place to start any kind of collaborative process, with questions. I think it saves a lot of grief later on because it allows people to get on the same page. It allows people to share a vision, a shared vision. And I think oftentimes if you just ask someone to share their vision, they're gonna ramble a lot of bullshit, or they're gonna have trouble articulating it. And I think a great way around that is literally to get into the minutia. As an actor, one of the things we used to say was, don't be interesting, be interested. Your job is to think about, what does this feel like? What does that smell like? What would it be like if this? Why does this character do this? And you think about this from the smallest micro things to the largest macro things. And I think that's about having curiosity. The other side of curiosity, and this is also another thing I think a lot about Brian Grazer for, is to me, one of the best emotions you can elicit in an audience member when they're watching a film is a sense of curiosity, a sense of like, what's gonna happen next? A sense of like, wait a minute, does that mean? Now you need to be careful because you don't want them confused. Confused shuts off the brain, it shuts off the creative instinct, it shuts off our empathy, it shuts off all the way to get feelings. But if you can keep them curious, if you can tease them out in a certain kind of way, then you can get them really engaged in the story. And they become, in some ways, very willing, passive participants in the unfolding of the story. I think they have a better time doing it. I think it gamifies the whole experience of watching a film in a way. They are the detectives along with whoever the characters trying to solve problems in the films are. And it makes it fun to watch. It makes it fun to talk about. And it can make it fun even to go watch again. And I think those are incredible, useful things to have true about a piece of film, a piece of art and entertainment that you're making. The second producer I think about a lot is Rebecca Green. Rebecca Green, she did It Follows. She does this website called Dear Producer. She's one of the founders, along with Effie Brown, of the Independent Producers Union. And what I love about her is Rebecca Green does not mince words. She doesn't blow sunshine up your ass. She doesn't sugarcoat anything, really. She's brutally honest about the challenges facing the film industry, and particularly the independent film industry. She's brutally honest about the struggle of that, the difficulty of that, the challenges of that. And yet, her persistence and her tenacity and her clear belief, to me, she must believe, despite those things, that there is a better way forward, I find so deeply inspiring and exciting. And I love the way that her problem-solving mind works. She sees these huge, massive issues, acknowledges them as such, and then sets out to find or think or talk to people about ways in which maybe those things can be solved, or if not solved, mitigated or shifted or changed. In a funny way, she talks to a lot of other people. So she shares a lot of her own experience, but she also is a conduit to share a lot of other producers' experience. And so my guess is she's got a pretty high sense of creativity, curiosity as well. And she's curious about how other people's processes work. And it's one of the things that keeps her going. That's just a guess, I don't know, but that would make sense to me. The third people I want to talk about are Boston boys, Matt and Ben. And now, you may or may not like their films, and you may or may not like the work that they've done, but one of the things I love about them, and there's a downside to this, but they know who their people are. They bring their people along with them, and I think they do good work, and I think they do work that is solid, always solid, and I think that they make sure that the people who work on their projects are appropriately rewarded. I mean, you just look at the development of their new production company, and I think that the proof is in the pudding right there, in the sense that they are trying to create a system where they can use the influence that they have to share the wealth with everyone who helps make what they do possible. And I just think from a sort of ethical and collaborative standpoint, it doesn't get better than being able to do that. The one other person, this is the half that I want to shoot out, that I want to shout out, is Megan Ellison over at Annapurna, who I think has made some of the best films of the past, 20 years. Some of the biggest swings, and let's be honest, some of them are misses in the sense, particularly from a commercial sense. But those, she has championed, as far as I can tell, some incredible filmmakers to make really distinct pieces of cinema, and it has allowed them a way to go ahead and do that, and I really admire that. So if you can combine, I guess, Megan Ellison's instincts, creative instincts around the films that she's done with Annapurna, and you could combine them with sort of Jason Blum's brilliance, who's a producer I haven't talked about in this, but I think is worth mentioning, particularly in this capacity, who you can match his sort of brilliance in being able to find and create work that fits the Blumhouse brand, and which we sort of know works. He knows it's going to work, and he keeps his budgets. This is about keeping the reality and the fantasy together. He knows it works if he can find a way to fit these things into this sort of matrix. I don't know what that matrix is. He might even say he doesn't have a matrix, but if you watch his films, it seems to me that there are some certain themes cutting across all of them that help make them incredible commercial successes and make them super enjoyable for audiences. And if we could find a way to combine this sort of, it's a little more avant-garde, risk-taking of Annapurna with this sort of brilliant tactical genius of finding a formula that works, or let's not even say formula, but building a sandbox that works, and then letting and making sure your films fit into that sandbox, then I think you got a real unstoppable product on your hands that is going to be fun for people to make and is going to be really fun for people to consume.